Hello everyone, and welcome to this little tutorial about how to use the pen tool in Photoshop. So, as you might want to know, we have this little pen tool over here in our tools palette, and while you select this, it's over here, and you want to make sure that you are working on paths only. So you don't want to work on shape layers, and you don't want to work with fill pixels. You want to work with path only. So make sure you're going to go to your layers palette. You have your picture you want to work on open, and so basically we're not working on any of the layers here right now. So because either of these options is going to give you some multiple layers which are going to be added to your layers palette, and no, we don't want that. We are working with paths only, so that means everything you're going to do is going to be created in your paths palette. So we can go back to the layers palette here, so we can see our nice little two rings here. And now you just simply go into the picture, zoom in a little bit more, and you click once at the edge of the ring here, and it's going to create you this little anchor point. So once you have the first anchor point, you're just moving on. You click and drag till you have the desired curve you want. So now you just go and make your way along the ring like this, but at a certain point something weird is going to happen. Just like here, it's kind of impossible to bring the curve to the desired shape you want. So to get rid of this, it's because Photoshop is going to give you, or Photoshop is going to recognize the alt curve which is currently created before. And to get rid of this, you just simply go to the last anchor point you have, you hold down your Alt key or Option key on a Macintosh, you click the anchor point once, you can release your Alt key again, and it's going to take away one of the tangential lines. And you just simply move on, you click the next anchor point, hold it, you drag it out, and bring that curve into shape. And as you can see, now you got the shape of the curve, or the curve got the shape you want. So you're just moving on, you just click on this little anchor point, holding down your Alt key. Let's redo this. Let's simply redo this here. Alright, so you just go here with your cursor and you hold down your Alt or Option key on a Macintosh, and then you click once the anchor point. It's going to take away one of the tangential lines. You click the next anchor point and you drag out the curve till it fits the shape you want. So I'm going to pause this video and moving on around the whole ring shapes, or around the rings, that I can get the shape for the selection lines after all. So I'm going to talk to you in a second. Alright everyone, so I just created a rough selection with my pen tool around these two rings and created a basic rough shape around them. So yes, of course, you can do this better anyways because you're working way more accurate than I do. So what you simply want to do to create a selection out of this path you created, so over here in your paths palette, there you go, you have the work path, and you can see that little shape already in here. So once you started to click and set all these anchor points around your two rings here in this particular image, it started to create you this little work path in the paths palette. So what you want to do now is, when you go back to your layers palette, not necessarily you have to, but I just do this. So anyways, if you're in your picture, anywhere in that picture, you can right click and then just select make selection. Now Photoshop is going to ask you if you want to feather the selection. The feather option is for the selection only, which basically means nothing more than that the outline of your selection is going to be feathered and going to give you some sort of smooth fading on the edge. But we don't really want this, so we do not feather it. Set the value to 0 because we want to have a sharp edge in the end, and yes, we want to anti-analyze it, and we click OK. So here we go, and we have that selection line around the two rings. So what you can basically do now is to get rid of the backdrop, because we want to keep the rings is you invert your selection. You can basically do this by going to select, and then you can go to inverse. Here we go. Select inverse. So now you can see that the selection line is around your picture frame. Let's zoom out a little bit more. It's around your complete picture and still the shape of the rings. So once you go here and you're going to hit the delete button, it's going to delete the backdrop. But oh, what happened? It's not transparent. So let's redo this. So once you have done this, just double click your layer. Once it's a picture you don't want to work with anymore in the end, you can just double click that backdrop layer because it's locked so far. That's why it's not giving you any transparent backdrop. And you just click on OK. So now you have a simple layer. It's not a backdrop layer, a background layer anymore. And when you do this again, it's going to give you the transparent backdrop. So now you can deselect everything by just holding down Control D or Command or Option D on a Macintosh, I guess. I always mix them up. But anyways, so now you can just simply go into the rings again, and you can do the same trick again with the pen tool. So you can just go here and start drawing a path for the inside of that ring. Let's do this real quick, and I'm gonna pause the video again and talk to you in a second again. So here we go again, and I just created two new paths on this particular image. It's for the inlet on this ring and inlet of this ring here. So what we're going to do again is just right click, make selection, and yes, there is no feather in it, and we're going to select OK. We have our selection lines around the particular areas, and this time we do not need to inverse the selection, so this time we can directly delete what we've got selected. So just simply go there and hit your delete key on a keyboard, and it's going to delete you these inlets of the rings. And once again, you can go here, and yes, you can do this with select and deselect, or you can just use your shortcut command Control D or Command D on a Macintosh, I guess, and there you go. Now you have your two rings with or cut out with the pen tool. It's that easy.